break down. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in, y'all. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. Spread the word. I have some very critical information to bring tonight, if you don't mind. I have some very critical information to bring. Come on in, come on in. Come on in. Spread the word. Let them know Brother Rizza Islam is live. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. Spread the word. Spread the word. Spread the word. Spread the word. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Come on in. Okay, now. Boy. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. I have some very critical information to bring as it pertains to the circumstance with Kanye West. It's regarding Kanye West, Micheal Jackson Katt Williams, and a whole circumstance that we need to deal with. Peace to Pops, the legend himself, C.T. Fletcher, the one and only Superman from Compton. Well, my brother, my big brother, Pops. Good to see you. Come on in, y'all. Let me know critical information to present tonight. Again, there's a lot going on, but I think this will help to bring a more intelligent perspective. And I believe it will help to connect some dots. Okay? I believe it will help to connect some dots. I see Compton in the building. I see New York is in the building. I see New Jersey is in the building. I see Portland in the building. LA is in the building. Cali. Somebody just said Cali. The Crenshaw district of LA. That's what I'm talking about. Flint, Michigan. Colton, California. Chicago, Chi-Town is in the building. Come on in, y'all. Press this paper airplane symbol here and send this out to at least 5 people. Let them know we are on. I am going to break down some very critical information. Sincerely. So please let them know we are live. I'm going to go into this fairly quick. Come on, y'all. Texas in the building. Connecticut, Atlanta, Philly, Honolulu, Hawaii is in the building. I see you. Pensacola, Florida. Newark is in the building. Baldwin Hills. I see you. I see you. Orlando, Florida. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Fort Lauderdale. I see you. Come on in. Boy, this is a topic that not everyone is able to go into in the most proper manner, I would say. Not everyone is able to really logically, intellectually break this down. You have to have been involved in certain things and in certain areas to really go into things like this. So the topic that I'm going to go over, as you see at the top, you see our brother Kanye, also known as Ye. You see Micheal Jackson. You see Katt Williams, and you see the mayor of New York, Eric Adams. What do all of these men have in common? What do all of these men have in common? And it's not just that they are black men. It is not just that they are black men, although that is exceedingly relevant. So please don't lose that point. But let me start off by saying I pray everyone is well. I pray everyone is well. Again, send this live out to at least 5 people. It is some critical information that I'm going to bring. What connects these black men at this point in time is something called psychotropic drugs and the field of mental health being utilized to suppress the intellect of black men and or to help black men sell out their people in a way where their people cannot come back from. Let me say it again. This topic of psychotropic drugs and the field of mental health is connected to Kanye or Ye, Micheal Jackson, Katt Williams, and Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, in that it is a topic that is utilized to control and suppress the intellect of black men and others, and or to help black men and or others to sell out their people in a way where they will not be able to come back from. Now, why am I using the term psychotropic drugs? Don't you mean psychiatric medication? Don't you mean psychological prescribed or therapeutic prescribed or pharmaceutical? No, psychotropic, because it affects the brain and how it functions. I have some professionals on here. I know there are some psychiatrists on here, so please bear me witness, meaning I need you to go ahead and validate the truth of the points that I present. Validate the truth of the points that I present. And let me know if I'm off, and I will let you know where you're off when it comes to this particular thing that I'm going to go over. I have to be very mindful of something. A lot of people don't know Brother Rizza Islam for all of the extensive years of work that I've been doing. Again, I've been in the community for over 22 years doing this work. Some of you only know me for the shots. Some of you know me for my community work with literacy programs. Others know me for gang intervention. Some of you know me for my drug education work and drug rehabilitation work. Some of you know me for standing against and exposing the human rights violations in the field of mental health. Before I was leading marches and speaking at rallies when it comes to the abuses where shots are concerned, I was exposing the abuses in the field of mental health, leading rallies against the American Psychiatric Association and how they overly prescribe psychotropic drugs onto human beings, men, women, pregnant women, children, etc. The same drugs that are listed on the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency's list as a Schedule II narcotic, the same drugs that are listed on the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency's list of drugs as a Schedule II narcotic, the same drugs that are listed on the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency's list as a Schedule II narcotic. Meaning these drugs are the same as cocaine, are the same as crystal meth, are the same as methamphetamine, are the same as the same street drugs that people sell on the corner. They just sell them over the counter with a prescription that is written with their name on it, signed at the bottom of the page, and it is billed for by insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies. Come up with a name, package it, boom, here's a drug for a mental, what they refer to as illness, although an illness denotes some form of bacteria. So what they really mean to say is a mental problem, but they base it off of what is known as the chemical imbalance theory. And that is a whole ball of wax that I'm not going to go into as of right now. These drugs, that's right, Yo GMD, who was a psychiatrist, and definitely Adderall for sure, along with Ritalin and others, is basically cocaine. It is also known as kiddie cocaine in the streets because certain children, when they found out what it was doing to them, they started selling their Adderall or their Ritalin because it gave them the same effect as speed or as cocaine would do. Now, something I just found out. We can defend our people while also correcting them in their wrongness. What do I mean by this? I love our brother Kanye. I love our brother Ye. I don't get caught up in the emotionalism. Why? Because in war, emotions will get you killed. I'm going to say this again. I do not get caught up in the emotionalism. Why? Because in war, emotions get you killed. If you see an enemy coming at you, are you going to sit there and try to figure out how to reason with this person and why they're saying these things as they're running toward you with weapons, and you're going to try to convince them and converse with them and dialogue with them? This person charging at you right now, running at you, ready to beat you up. Are you going to try to reason with them, or are you going to get prepared to defend yourself? I don't care when it comes to some of our people who speak out of the side of their neck. I'm not interested in the small talk. This enemy doesn't care about the small talk. He cares about what the people are saying who have influence, who can actually change the minds of the people to where the people will no longer trust them, meaning the government. So I love our brother Kanye. I will defend all the good that he does and all of the good that any of our brothers and sisters in the arts, in the areas of athleticism, sports, etc., any good that they do, I will applaud. But I will not hold them to the same standard that I would hold myself and others to who have invested, quite literally, our life in this, in the acquisition of knowledge. This is our job. It's not their job. All right? So I just want to make this clear. I'm not going to hold him to the same thing. He doesn't have the knowledge we have, nor the experience that we have. They don't. They don't. Period. So, I told Joe Budden this, and the full interview is going to be released soon. I was interviewed on the Joe Budden podcast. As a matter of fact, before I say that, let me mention this to you. I've worked with scientists, doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, etc. for years. Once you start opening the DSM, you'll start to realize a whole lot of nonsense as it pertains to that book, that field, etc. You must learn about the system of eugenics before learning about anything else dealing with psychiatry. You must learn about the bell curve, that book. You must research that and read that. You must look at the passing of the Great Race by Madison Grant. You must understand who Charles Davenport was as it pertains to the founding of the American Eugenics Society. You must know who Sir Francis Galton is as it pertains to the system of eugenics itself and how that was established. You then must understand ethnic cleansing across the planet. You have to know these things if you truly want to understand exactly what the field of mental health truly is in its foundation. And then once you graduate from that, which we never usually graduate, we're continuing to study. And those of us who continue to be humble in our understanding of study, you always have things to study. So as you continue to study these things, then you will learn about the modern field of mental health that we are dealing with, which is basically a bunch of opinions formed by a group of people, primarily elderly Caucasian males. And then you do have sprinkles of other people. You have Asians, you have Indians, you have Australians, you have all these different people who are taught based off of a doctrine that is a throw-up, vomited version of the original field of mental health, which comes out of the ancient science of us as a people, the ancient science of the melanated, black understanding of what the mind truly is. It's a lot, all right? There are layers to this. Then you start looking at how many mental diseases are in the DSM. Then you start looking at how many DSMs there are. Then you start looking at how it went from 100 mental disorders to over 320 of them. Then you start looking at how much money they make. Then you start looking at how the hell did they come up with these so-called mental disorders, mental diseases in the first place. Oh, they do it by a majority vote. All of these mental disorders that you see that are in the DSM that psychiatrists and psychologists use to diagnose a person, for the most part, come out of a book that was compiled by men and women at the American Psychiatric Association. Roughly every year they do an update and they raise their hand. Hey, what about scratching your head? Can we make that a mental disorder? All in favor say aye. If they get enough hands raised, scratching your head, that's a mental disorder. We'll go ahead and boom. Pharmaceutical company has a drug on the shelf ready for it. Boom, we put a number in the DSM to bill the insurance companies. We put that right next to that, scratching your head, mental disorder, right then DSM, boom, boom, boom. We'll get this drug, boom, take one off the shelf, package it, and call it whatever pill, and here it is. Take these 2 times a day, etc. for your manic scratching of your head. And yes, I know some of you are like, Rizza, this can't be true. I wish it weren't true. And this is what, and I'm not oversimplifying it. No, I'm not. There's a lot that goes into it, but once you get down to the bare bones of it, that's what it is. It's not science, is my point. And once you look at that, then you understand, okay, so who the hell is diagnosing? Who is telling people that they're crazy? Let's look at this. Micheal Jackson called crazy. Kanye West called crazy. Katt Williams called crazy. And a whole list of other people. The reason why I'm mentioning them tonight is because I just saw an interview with Kanye West that was done, I think it was done yesterday. And in my interview with Joe Budden, I was interviewed on the Joe Budden podcast a few weeks ago. And in his interview, he asked me to just give the raw truth. I said, brother, are you ready for that? He said, absolutely, my brother, go ahead. Let us have it. Fine. I said, once artists and celebrities get to a certain level where they are no longer being controlled by the government, where they have been given the opportunity to make millions of dollars and then billions of dollars, they get to that point by someone's permission. Then once they allow you to come into their secret societies, or they allow you to come into these areas where you feel important, where you have a level of influence, you're rubbing shoulders with certain people, you're getting connected to certain people, you're inside of certain rooms that only certain chosen few get to be admitted into. Once you get to that point, the only way that they can turn you around or control you or pull your chain is if they drug you, but they will say medicate you. And after they destroy your credibility and or your public image. I'm telling you something here in particular. I'm going to mention a CIA tactic that they use that is very well known, that multiple former CIA operatives have exposed because they turned whistleblowers and they went under whistleblower status, and they exposed it. One of these individuals who wrote this book, if you don't have Behold a Pale Horse, this is a staple in the community. It's been a staple in the community for well over 10, 15, 20 years. This is something that everybody needs to have. Behold a Pale Horse. Written by a Caucasian man by the name of William Cooper. William Cooper is a man who was exposing a lot of things that we're dealing with right now, along with a list of other people. Of course, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad before William Cooper, and of course, Minister Farrakhan and others as well. But this individual here, he talked about something called, and I didn't learn it from him, but he talked about the mental control of the masses. He talked about circuses, also known as the Circus Maximus, the Roman circus. He talked about what you would know as the Super Bowl, and that's known as the Circus Maximus or the Roman circus, where the king or the ruler would, or the emperor would send the people to go and watch Christians being tossed to lions and chariot races, etc., once the people started to question too much about what the hell was going on and taking place in their society. And so they would send them off to the circus to get re-indoctrinated, take their minds off of the real things happening in the world and keep their minds occupied over there in a dome or in a stadium or what have you. And here's what I'm going to mention to you. When I was on the Joe Budden podcast, I brought up something called PDH. I need everyone to type this in, PDH. And while you're typing that in, for those of you who want to be a part of the private group that we have, my members only group, where we not only go over things like this, but I bring on the actual professionals in most of these areas. We also have a lot of community work that we're doing. There's a lot that we do in my members only group. You also get free tickets for events. You also get the first dibs when it comes to a lot of things that we are doing in the community. You need to go to joinfreethinkers.com, www.joinfreethinkers.com. That is my personal members only group. Only if you're serious. Don't join if you're not serious. Now, PDH, I need someone in here. Please let us know, what does that acronym stand for? I will wait 20 seconds. Can anyone tell me what PDH stands for as it pertains to controlling people, controlling political dissidents, controlling activists, controlling artists, celebrities, and athletes who get out of control? What does PDH stand for? Can anyone tell me this? I've mentioned it before. Five, 4, 3, 2. Okay, PDH stands for pain, drug, hypnosis. Now, pain, drug, hypnosis. Go ahead and type this in the chat. Pain, drug, hypnosis. People can say you're crazy. They can say whatever the hell they want to say. But what they cannot say is that you are a liar for looking at what I'm going to have you look at right now. There are steps, protocols systems put in place. Peace to my brother Mike Rashid. Man, got Mike Rashid and the great CT Fletcher in the building. Boy, I'm feeling good tonight. Good to see my brothers. There are steps, there are protocols put in place to control people once they get out of line, okay? If this government allows you to get to a certain level, if you make a certain amount of money, if you're an artist, etc., you get to a certain level. Remember, all artists have handlers at the beginning. All artists have handlers from the beginning of their catapulting into stardom. So not when they're just doing their own thing, independent, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about when they sign, when they start to get recognized in the mainstream because they're signed and they go under someone's label or group or contracts and stuff starts getting into the more, commercialized things. And, you're seeing on this television show, you're up here and all that. Okay, now, once you get to that certain level, you start to have handlers. And most of them know nothing about a handler until they're being handled. And they're like, damn, I don't know what this was. Okay, I'm still on the PDH, pain drug hypnosis. I told Joe Budden when I was being interviewed by him a few weeks ago on his podcast, that episode will be released soon, the full episode, because there's certain things, he only released a few clips. I said artists and celebrities, once they get to a certain point, once they get to a certain level of stardom, wealth, influence, if they turn, meaning if they wake up, if they become educated, if they start associating with people who like us, who have the proper knowledge and information, wherewithal, solutions to help guide them in directions that they did not know before, they have handlers to watch them. They have people who are set up next to them. I am not giving you no damn theories here. All the artists and celebrities who I talk to personally tell me this once they find out. And what I told Mr. Joe Budden when I was being interviewed by him, I said, brother, do you know that the government has in place something called PDH, and other people within the government, they give it different terms. Some of you may know it as MK Ultra when it comes to the creation of assassins, etc. There are multiple mind control techniques and methods. MK Naomi, MK Bluebird for Artichoke, MK Ultra. Of course, you have Project Paperclip as it pertains to the Nazis. You have Project Pegasus as it pertains to drugs being brought into the inner city neighborhoods. You have all these things, Project Watchtower. You have all these things, but in particularly pain drug hypnosis, and in particularly, again, when these artists get out of control, their handlers are told, yank him or her back, yank them back. If they don't come back willingly, there's a little added pressure. And if they don't buckle to that pressure, then there comes the soft threats. The soft threats. Because remember, these people signed contracts, got involved in all kinds of arenas and things that they knew nothing about. They just want to do art. They want to do music. They want to sing. They want to dance. They want to run. They want to play. They want to shoot a ball, throw a ball, catch a ball, play. That's their passion, but they got caught up in a web, in a world that they knew nothing about. I'm helping y'all to understand a perspective that you may not have known from my personal conversations with many of them. And me having to educate them and me saying the same thing to them right now. And they looking at me like, how the hell did you know that? And I'm like, because that's our job. We're supposed to know that. So when I told this brother Joe Budden, I said, put it this way. These artists get out of control after getting a lot of money, being given access to large levels of influence, all these platforms where they can reach millions at the press of a button. They travel anywhere. They can do whatever they want for the most part, but the media is constantly on them. As long as they stay within the boundaries, everything is cool. Everything is good. Kanye West was being interviewed, and I told Joe Budden in my interview weeks ago, before Kanye West did his Drink Champs interview, I told him, Joe Budden, I said, Kanye West, yay, is under particularly They have him on psychotropics, which was public knowledge. I said, but the kind of medication, the dosages, the frequency of how many, all of this that he's on is too much. It's beyond what he's supposed to be on. And not only that, I don't support those drugs at all, but I'm letting you know what they're doing to him is they're trying to take control of him. And if they can't control him, then they're trying to get rid of him, but in a way where he will self-destruct and he will just look crazy to everybody. And that's exactly what the hell we are witnessing right now. I told them this before Kanye West Drink Champs interview, the last one, the one that got him in all this heat and all that came out. I told them, I said, that brother is under one of the heaviest levels of psychotropic drugging to where he's not there. Now, I'm not justifying. Again, for those of you who are coming in here, Rizza Islam has been involved in this arena. Before I was exposing the shots, I was exposing the abuses in the field of mental health, exposing Zyprexa, Wellbutrin, Adderall, Thorazine, Paxil, exposing lithium, exposing all of these, exposing the abuses in the mental health field, exposing psychiatrists who were drugging women to have sex with them, exposing psychiatrists who were drugging children to fondle them, exposing psychiatrists and their whole practice for huge levels of fraud, financial fraud, helping to get bills passed to protect men, women, and children from electroshock, what you know as ECT or electroconvulsive therapy. It's electroshock. What they originated by putting 2 electrodes on the brain or the skull of a pig to shock it to make it more docile so that it could be slaughtered easier. Your brother been on this over 20 years. I just want y'all to know that part about me if you didn't know. But that is what's happening to him. That's why all of a sudden he starts sounding so sporadic and crazy. Yes, because lithium is what he's on. Do you know what lithium does to the physiological chemistry of a human being? Do you know what it does to you? All right, let me read some of the effects of what lithium does. Rizza, how do you know he's on lithium? Because he said it. I knew he was on something. I just didn't know which psychotropic he was being prescribed. I knew he was on one. I just did not know which one. He then, in the interview yesterday that I saw, he said, they were trying to drug me so heavily that when I asked them about the proper dosages of this drug, lithium, he said it took them 3 to 4 days to tell me exactly how much I was supposed to be on because they were embarrassed that they were giving me too much. Now, some of you will be like, Rizza, it's hard to believe anything he says at this point because he goes back and forth. You are absolutely correct. I totally am with you on that. But can I offer you something? What he said is the exact thing that happens per usual. What he said is the exact thing that happens per usual. What he said is the exact thousands, tens of thousands of cases. This is how it goes. For those who don't really get what's going on, again, I'm really helping you to understand. Man. Lithium. Let me go ahead and just drop some of this for you here. We have been exposing the field of pharmaceuticals for years, not just the shots. And again, let me just mention this real quick for those of you asking, is this a distraction? No. What I'm talking about is something that your own family members are being negatively affected by right now. The abuses in the mental health field as it pertains to the drugging of men, women, and children, and specifically pregnant women and elders by psychotropic drugs, meaning over 125 million people in America are on one or more forms of psychotropic drugs, which have common side effects or direct effects, such as sudden death, heart palpitations, heart attacks, strokes, increases in depression, increases in mania. Do you know why 22 veterans are committing suicide roughly every day? Have you asked any of them how many psychotropic drugs are they prescribed and why there is no full record of how many drugs they are being given and how many pills they are supposed to be taking every day when they're out there deployed? Reason nobody's deployed, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of current active duty military men and women currently on these psychotropic, mind-altering, brain chemistry malfunctioning drugs. And they're popping these pills because there is a psychiatrist at every location, a psychiatrist at every base. Y'all don't know about Chief Brock Chisholm. Y'all don't know about the invasion of this is what I'm talking about. The invasion of humanity. Not all psychiatrists are bad. Not all psychologists are bad. Not at all. However, the foundation of the American Psychiatric Association in particularly is horrific in its foundation. Just like the American Medical Association, just like the educational system here in America when it was taken over by the Rockefellers, just like all of this. We just have to, it's just something to look at. So is it a distraction? No, it is a lesson that we should all look at and learn so that you can understand exactly how serious this thing can become once you reach a certain level. Because I know good psychiatrists and psychologists who speak out against the evils in their field. And I applaud them because they do exist, just like the doctors, just like the medical professionals, lawyers, and all those people in those fields that are heavily corrupted, but they themselves may not be that. And they're trying to fight against the corruption that are inside of those fields. Now, let me finish this point here. The Kanye West circumstance. The brother is under such a heavy amount of psychotropic drugging. He said the dosages that they were giving him were so far in excess of what was needed. I know that personally. I know that because I've worked with so many people. Do you know Rizza Islam, your brother, has helped to get people out of psych wards because of an involuntary committed circumstance, a 72-hour hold? Do you have any idea? Do y'all know this is the other dark side of things that is not talked about? This is a whole nother huge chunk of people that we are forgetting about. I'm doing my best to pace myself because there is so much when it comes to this. But know and understand that what you are witnessing with our brother Kanye, same thing you witnessed with Micheal Jackson to a degree, with the drug propofol with Micheal Jackson. Same thing you witnessed with brother Katt Williams with the drug Seroquel. Damn. Why did they get Katt Williams? He bounced back. He bounced back. And most black folks don't venture into this territory because we don't study it. But we need to. Katt Williams started to confess so much about what is happening. He exposed the industry. He exposed the Illuminati. He exposed a lot of things going on with government. In his 2012, I believe, comedy special called Catpocalypse, he dropped a lot of information. He dropped a lot of information about what is happening. Whether if some of it was true or not, he exposed a lot of what the government is doing. He took shots at religion. He exposed how the people are completely controlled mentally. But he went too far. And what do I mean by he went too far? No, he went not far enough when it comes to speaking the truth, but he went too far in that he didn't realize, in my personal opinion, he didn't realize exactly how big of an enemy it is that we're dealing with. So they put him in a psych ward and they put him on Seroquel. And Seroquel is a major damaging sedative effect having psychotropic that will knock you out, sedate you. It's a sedative, so it's a downer, not a stimulant or an upper. It's a sedative. And because of that, they couldn't stand him. So that's why they was locking him up every couple of days. For I think in 1 or 2 years, they was locking him up almost every other day, harassing him all the time. This man has multiple adopted children. He has done a whole lot for the community. Katt is a very knowledgeable brother. But he opened his mouth once he got to a certain plateau in an area, in an arena where he was not supposed to be talking about that. And he did, and they didn't like it, and so they chopped him down. Same thing with Micheal Jackson, same thing with Kanye, same thing with many of our people. I'm helping you to look at a different perspective. So rather than running out here calling a person crazy, why not say, what caused them to say that? What caused him and or her to be like that? The reason why people don't look at the cause, and I'm going to get back on this point, the reason why a lot of people don't want to look at the cause is because it takes too much thinking power. It takes too much energy to think, and some of us don't have the knowledge in our head, and we don't even want to have the mental stamina to even focus on it. We'll scroll all day and focus hours on nothingness and things that don't cause us to think too hard, because that's very, very, very easy. But when you have to think critically, you got to read books. You got to watch documentaries. You have to ask questions and be willing to answer. You have to connect dots, and your brain has to start firing to where you have to engage and grow inside of higher levels of consciousness, thoughts, awareness, and intelligence. It's a different world. So don't call a person crazy if you don't know what caused their condition in the first place. It's insulting. They went after Dave Chappelle. They went after Prince. Prince talked about chemtrails. Prince talked about how they are pushing everyone to be in fear. Prince exposed the music industry from, I think, 2 or 3 times at a full award show. And he said, imagine what it would be like if we had our own game. As long as you continue to remain under them, you will be their slave. You will take a percentage of the winnings. You will not take it all. That's what Prince was talking about. They didn't like, I want us to understand something, seriously. Because my major issue is I don't like being right about negative things, but I've been doing this since I was 11 years old. It is what it is. When I was interviewed by Joe Budden, I told him Kanye West is being prescribed a psychotropic. I don't know if he was put under ECT, but he has some of the residual effects, possibly, because it could be other causes. But he has some of the residual effects of someone who was put under ECT or electroshock. The new name of it is ECT to make it sound better. It ain't better. It's when they put electricity in your brain because they're trying to help you. And we're going to reorganize the electricity inside of your body by going into your brain with electricity and just shooting it. Formerly, they used to have the lobotomy, and that was too messy. They had something called the lobotomobile that a former psychiatrist in particularly would use, and he would go and do mobile lobotomies on people. That was too messy. People were dying on the tables, and so they said, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not a breakthrough in mental health. Let's try something else. So what did they come up with? They came up with something called Thorazine. Thorazine became what is known as the magic bullet because it pretty much did the same thing that a lobotomy did without the mess. So it would go in and it would zombify a person without having to go and be more invasive, as in sticking the ice pick up behind the eyes, where they would stick an ice pick in here and it would scrape right here, frontal lobe, until they meaning the psychiatrist, felt that we have removed enough of the tissue that caused your manic insanity. You need to understand the foundation of psychiatry in the field of mental health. I'm going to go into that in another episode of my actual podcast. But what we're dealing with Kanye West, and I know it looks like I'm going around into all these different areas, but because this is such a pregnant topic and I've been involved with it for so long, I hate seeing what's happening with our brother. I hated seeing it with Micheal Jackson. I love Micheal Jackson. I've been to Neverland twice. I hated seeing it with Katt Williams. I hate it. I really hate it. I'm telling you right now, I hate it. And it really made me look at, damn, If he is not put around the right person, I'm saying this right now, and I told Joe Budden this when I was interviewed by him. I told him, I said, if Kanye doesn't have the right person around him, for those asking about the podcast, Rizza Islam on Rumble for my full podcast interviews. The next episode, I believe, will be dropping. I'm pushing to drop it tomorrow, the next episode, but on Rumble. Rizza Islam on Rumble. I told him, I said, if Kanye doesn't get the right people around him, they're going to take him out because that's what they're intending. Rizza proved that. Let me help you to understand exactly how serious this is when it comes to how they plant people around you. Okay, everyone type in the chat the word plant. This is not a conspiracy theory. I'm a black man from Compton. We don't deal in conspiracy theories. We know actual facts. That's it. And you can look up everything that I'm saying to you with the exception of a few terms that they may not have on Google because of how much it will expose the pharmaceutical industry. So therefore, you need to use DuckDuckGo. Again, I'm going to say it again. There are certain terms that I used that may not come up on Google because Google is a prostitute of pharmaceutical companies. Just put it that way, all right, to put it real blunt. So they pour money into Google to push down negative results of real information and facts that would expose the negative things that they do and that would expose the negative circumstances inside the area of pharmaceuticals and everything dealing with them. So DuckDuckGo is an alternative search engine that will come up with the actual things that we're striving to look for. Plant. A plant is a person strategically placed in an area to destabilize, to watch, record, take back information, etc. A plant is an agent, essentially. A plant or agent can be a handler. What do I mean? It can be your actual agent if you are a singer, a dancer, a rapper, an athlete, a basketball player, a tennis player, a football player. It can be your actual agent, the person who schedules and books you for speaking engagements and to be sponsored by Nike and this group and blah, blah, blah. An agent or plant can be your accountant, the person who handles your money. Make sure all your bills are paid. Make sure your paycheck gets cut and that you get your monthly disbursement, every 2-week disbursement, or the person who handles everything dealing with your home, your real estate portfolio, whatever. A plant could be a wife. It could be a husband. I'm about to go here. Really. It has happened before. It will happen again. It is happening now. In this case, the plant or agent, literally the agent, is Kanye's trainer. A man by the name of Harvey Pasternak. Everyone type in Harvey Pasternak. I'm going to spell the name all the way. I just want to make sure I get the last name spelled correctly again. Correct. Harley. 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 Pasternak. Pasternak. Harley Pasternak. Now remember, when I exposed some of this, I went over some of this in less than 2.5 minutes when I was recording in one of my episodes of my show. The moment Kanye put up the text messages of what his trainer, Harley Pasternak, his trainer, his physical trainer, Harley sent a message to Kanye. Boy, I promise you. See, we need to make sure we understand how things work, and we have to study. As a people, we have to study. So let me just see here really quick. I'm trying to see who's in here, but it's not showing me. Harley Pasternak, quite literally, is a former military operative agent with the Canadian military in the area of defense. This is a physical trainer. Your physical trainer is former military, not just military, not just on reserve, not just, I fought in Nam, I went to Iraq, was deployed, I did 2 tours of Iraq. No. Special type of military in the area of defense, and particularly as it pertains to psychological operations, PsyOps, this man here. That's his field. Harley Pasternak. I'm going to go into this in more detail on an episode of my show because I have to go into more people who have been victims of this same thing. as you're watching this apparent collapse of Kanye, because so many people who do not know how deep these things go spend time on the surface. So they say, oh, he's crazy. He don't love black people. Man, he wore a White Lives Matter shirt. I don't give a damn about a shirt. Some of you may find that confusing coming out of my mouth. It's a shirt. What I care about is what he is doing and what is going to happen with the actions and the motives, not just the shirt. Okay, and because if I react to the shirt, I am in no position to guide or lead nobody to do a damn thing whatsoever. I can be pimped and controlled by words, and therefore, why the hell am I in any position talking to anybody? I'm not emotionally stable. I'm not emotionally mature because I flip out over a damn word. You're not qualified. Sit the hell down. If all it takes is for somebody to say a word or two to get you all up in arms, oh my God, then you're not ready. You need to go sit down. You have to sit down. We're in a war, so you have to be far more intellectual about this to understand exactly what's going on. Then people started flipping out about other things, said this, here, that. Okay, I got it. Good. Stop being emotional and really look. Harley Pasternak has been his trainer for a number of years. Harley Pasternak is the Caucasian Canadian agent in the area of psychological operations and defense, who was helping to make sure that Kanye's prescriptions were coming through smoothly, making sure he was getting his prescription of lithium. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Please. You don't have to agree with me at all. I don't want you to agree with me. I just want you to hear what I'm saying and wax enthusiastic this with me. Consider this. It's all I'm asking you to do. Just consider it. Why is a special agent, essentially, in the area of psychological operations, meaning his specialty is in training of psychological mental warfare? He specializes in that. Why the hell is he next to one of the most influential black artists of our generation? Why? Why? And not only that, why is he helping to make sure that the pills get to Kanye, making sure he's calmed down, making sure he's tame and under control? It's not just stuff that Kanye said, it's the damn text message that Mr. Pasternak was sending. It's what this white man was sending. And the message that I read, which is why the message that I read, when I read it, I said, I already knew. I said it 3 weeks before. I said it in my interview with Joe Budden 3 weeks before. I said what was happening with Kanye. And then this devil, and I'm calling him a devil. Anybody who's white in here, respectfully. A man who is doing what he's doing, that is a devil. A black man killing a black man, that is of a devil. That's not of a God. It's not of a black man. That's of a devil. It's a wrong mentality. It's a sick mentality. This is a devil and what he's doing. Therefore, it only validated that, and I didn't want it to be validated because we don't want to be right about negative things, but then again, we know what we're dealing with. And so once that came out, I had to expose it because now it will help those who are mentally and intellectually mature to look at things from a different perspective and say, damn, okay. You know what? Have any of you heard? Did you see the actual message that Mr. Pasternak sent Kanye? Did y'all see that? Let me just read this really quick. I'm just going to read, man. I'm going to read this really quick so that you can understand why it is critical for us not to judge our people on face value, but to go to the root cause of what is happening with them. Some of you said you have. For those of you who have not, let me read this really quick. This is the message right here from Harley Pasternak. And before I read this, for those of you who are interested in being given, who are interested in joining the private classes that we have, private classes that we are having, and a lot of other things that we're doing. become a member of the Free Thinkers community and the work that we're doing, go to joinfreethinkers.com. Joinfreethinkers.com. Go to joinfreethinkers.com. Joinfreethinkers.com. I have 10 minutes left here. If I am about to go over it, I'm going to leave out and come back in. I'm just letting y'all know. If I go over it and it ends, I'm going to come right back in. Just to let you know. But go to joinfreethinkers.com. Let me read this message here really quick. Mr. Harley Pasternak sent this to Kanye. Boy, just so evil. Let me read it. Here we go. Harley sent this to Kanye. It says, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, I'm going to say it in a way where I'm pretty sure he was saying it, right? Very pompous. All right, let me say it. Let me just read this, how he would read it. I'm going to help you in one of a couple of ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving, open conversation, but you don't use cuss words. Mind, just a grown man talking to another grown man, but a white man talking to a black man, right? Let's continue. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words. And everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or saw in a tweet. Second option. So he already chest out talking tough now, white man. Okay. Second option. I have you institutionalized. Again. If you have never been to a psychiatric facility, you won't identify or share the same pain of those of us who have, helping to get our people out. You won't be able to feel, or unless you have family or friends or you yourself have been in there, you won't be able to really understand why this made me so infuriated. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, which means you did it before. Which means Kanye ain't crazy. He telling everybody, they're trying to take me out. He said that. They're trying to come after me. You're going to have to kill me. He said this. Let's continue. I have you institutionalized again where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land. Go back to zombie land. Go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. Is that a threat? Y'all explain this to me. Is that a threat? Is that a listen? Whenever you get up here and you start listening to people and you jump on the bandwagon of talking about our people, not realizing, yes, people may be celebrities, artists, athletes, whatever, activists. We're seen by a lot of people, but we're real people. We have real lives and families, and we feel. We got to eat food just like you. We got to go to the restroom just like you. We got to get rest just like you. When I saw what this white man said, what this devil said to Kanye, I said, all right, you threaten his children. You threaten him to mentally castrate this man. Wait a minute. You took it back to slavery. Hold up. I'm going to mentally castrate you to where you will not be able to even coherently be present. You will not be able to mentally be present with your child when you're playing with them because you'll be so stuck in zombie land. You'll be zombied out. I'm going to institutionalize you again and have them medicate the crap out of you. Do you know what the common effects of these medications are, of these drugs are? So that's Harley Pasternak, Kanye West's physical trainer, who also happens to be former military, who specializes in psychological operations in the area of military defense for the Canadian government. A Canadian former government agent who is now a fitness trainer, just coincidentally for one of the most influential black men that we have had in our generation. There is never a coincidence at that level. Never. What are some of the effects, Rizza, of lithium? The drug that Kanye is currently being prescribed is lithium. Lithium some of the effects. Confusion. Okay, that's the first effect that they put on this list of multiple. Rizza, I cannot believe that this list is really of all of these different effects. These drugs, if you're on any of the psychotropic drugs, antidepressants, etc., which do not cure depression at all, ever, never. They have never cured such a thing. They actually enhance them. These are the common effects. They enhance depression. You're supposed to be coming off of it, but they're enhancing it. You're supposed to be coming off of it, but they're enhancing it. You're supposed to be coming off of it, but they're enhancing it. What does that mean? I'm going to do a full breakdown in one of the episodes of my show because I don't have enough time. Confusion. Poor memory. This is the drug that Kanye is being prescribed. Lithium. Confusion. Poor memory. Lack of awareness. Fainting. Fast, pounding, or irregular heartbeat or pulse. Your heart doing this? After you took one of these? That's not good. Let's continue. Frequent urination. Increased thirst. Slow heartbeat. Stiffness of the arms or legs. Troubled breathing, especially during hard work or exercise. Unusual tiredness or weakness. Weight gain. Did our brother not blow up? Did he not physically? Did Kanye not? Correct me if I'm wrong. But did our brother Kanye not blow up physically? Did he not physically blow up? I'm going to get to the heavier effects because these are just some of the light effects, even though none of these are light at all. Kanye blew up physically. Oh, and by the way, Harley Pasternak, the reason why that's a very critical point, on top of him being an agent, on top of him, all that nonsense, on top of him saying he's going to get Kanye committed again to a psych ward and drugged to the point to where he would not be able to take care of his children and all that kind of stuff. He's Jewish. Boom. He just is. So when Kanye said they, the people going after his money, the people who was handling his money, the people who are over some of these different companies, his trainer, a lot of many of them just happen to be that. That's why that's also extremely critical to note. Which is why that word, that arena gets so many people canceled. You can't cancel me. You can't cancel those of us who do this work on behalf of God. We don't get paid by you. The people support us. We do the work on behalf of the people and on behalf of God. That's why we're not afraid. That's why we can actually do this. Those of us who don't sell out, that is. The rest of them, you will hear them parroting talking points from this government all the time. That's how you know they sold out. Now, some of the other effects of lithium. Blue color and pain in the fingers and toes. That's weakening of the capillaries. That's not not good. It's affecting the blood. It's affecting the heart. It's affecting the pressure of the heart valves. It's affecting that's not good. Let's continue. Coldness of the arms and legs, dizziness, eye pain, headache, noise in the ears, a common effect of children who are on the autism spectrum who were given shots because of what that does to the chemistry of the body. Noise in the ears, vision problems, blurred vision, burning feeling in the chest or stomach, chills, cloudy urine, cough, decreased urination. So one effect of lithium is increased urination. Another effect is decreased urination. This is destroying the chemistry of a human being. This is what Ye is on. Okay, let's continue. Difficulty in speaking. If any of you have worked with people who are on these drugs, you know, number one, they cause the very thing they're telling people they are trying to prevent. I'm running out of time right now. I'm going to go out and come right back in. Y'all hear me?